Hello everybody, this is Coop from Demonic Legion. I am doing a battle report on a game I played earlier today. It was 2,500 points of my Demons of Chaos versus Lizardmen. So for my list, I had a level 4 Tzeentch Wizard Lord of Change. He had an Exalted Gift and a Lesser Gift. On the Exalted Gift table, I ended up rolling add 1 die to each dispel attempt while this model is on the field. So I decided to keep that because my opponent had a Slann, so this way I could have one leg up when it comes to dispelling. As for his lesser gift, I dropped it down to get the Wand of Whimsy, which is a magic item, and whenever I successfully dispel or cast a spell with the Lord of Change, I roll a die, and on a roll of 5 or 6, he gets +1 strength and +1 attack for the rest of the game. So I thought that paired really well with the extra dispel dice he gets. For heroes, I just have one Herald of Nurgle. He has the Regeneration Locust. He's my BSB, and he has a Greater Gift. I rolled the 2-up armor save on the Greater Gift table, so I decided to keep that. For core, I have 29 Plague Bearers with full command. They have the Banner of Swiftness. I have 2 packs of 10 Pink Horrors of Tzeentch. They have no command or anything. For special, I've got 4 Beasts of Nurgle, 5 Fleshhounds of Khorne. They're not ambushers, they're just regular Fleshhounds. And then 5 unmarked Chaos Furies. Lastly, in the rare, I've got a Soul Grinder with Mark of Nurgle for -1 to hit, and also the Demon Bone Claw. I've got a Skull Cannon, and then I have 3 Plague Drones of Nurgle, and they have the Poison Attack upgrade on the drones. So this is deployment. We rolled a 1 for battle type, so this is just straight up kill each other. On the left flank, I've got my Fleshhounds. To the right of them, my Beasts of Nurgle. In the center, I've got my Chaos Furies, my big group of Plague Bearers, my Rot Flies, my first group of Pink Horrors, and then on the right flank I've got my second group of Pink Horrors, my Skull Cannon, my Lord of Change, who I'm using the Kairos Fate Weaver model for, and then my Soul Grinder. I have yet to paint the Soul Grinder or attach him to the base, so he couldn't stay quite on the base and he was sliding off, so just know that his actual position is where the base is situated. For spells, one group of Pink Horrors got Infernal Gateway, and the other one got Treason of Tzeentch. Infernal Gateway, for those of you who don't know, it's a direct damage spell, and it does 2d6 strength, 2d6 hits, so it can be really powerful. On average, you're doing 7 strength, 7 hits to something. Treason of Tzeentch is a hex spell, and it basically means that the unit that has this on it can't use Inspiring Presence and must use the lowest leadership in the unit whenever it tests for leadership tests. And I also think you can't use your BSB. This actually was not a useful spell for the game because Lizardmen have the cold-blooded rule, so it's hard for them to fail leadership tests. And then my Lord of Change, who was level 4, ended up rolling Blue Fires of Tzeentch. I forgot which spell I dropped down to, but Blue Fires of Tzeentch is just a direct damage spell. It's a magic missile that does d6 strength, d6 hits to a unit. He's got Bolt of Change, which I never ended up using. It's like a bolt thrower spell. He's got Glean Magic, which is a direct damage spell, and what it does is you and an enemy wizard both roll a die and add your magic level to it. If your total is lower than theirs, nothing happens. If it's higher, then you steal one of their spells at random, and they lose 1 wizard level for the rest of the game, and they also take a strength 3 hit. And then lastly, I have Tzeentch's Firestorm that didn't really come into play. So this is my opponent's setup. On the far left flank, he's got a group of Javelin Skinks. To the side of them, he's got his first Salamander with a Bastillodon in the back, and then 24 Saurus Warriors. In the center behind he's got another group of 24 Saurus Warriors to the side as well, and then behind them are more Javelin Skinks, which are actually in the unit with his Slann. His Slann's level 4 of Light. He got Briona's Time Warp and I can't remember exactly what other spells he got, but he got a bunch of light spells that seemed alright. I don't think light was a very good choice for him in this game. He's got another salamander. He's got a unit of 3x3 Cold One riders, and in there are two Scar veterans that are with great weapons, and they both have 1-up armor saves. One of them has a 1-up armor save that's rerollable, and the other one has a from Dawnstone, and the other one has a 1-up armor save that is accompanied with a 4-up ward save. And to the right of them are some more Javelin Skinks with a level 2 Lore of Beasts um, priest. And that priest got the spell that makes a unit take dangerous terrain tests whenever it moves, and additionally, he got Wissen's Wild Form. My opponent also had some Chameleon Skinks. I didn't get a shot of when he put them on the board, but he basically put them to the right of the Soul Grinder, and then another group behind this building over here. So Lizardmen got the first turn. He basically just moves everything up. He was really aggressive with his first turn, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but he moved up his Cold One Knights, or his Cold One Riders, and he also moved up his Skinks to take some shots at my Soul Grinder. He also moved up all of his Saurus, and this is just a shot of him taking shots at the Soul Grinder, and basically all of his units move forwards. He also gets off Curse of Anra here, or whatever it is, so my Plague Bearers can't move, or else they take a test for dangerous terrain. They fail on 1 and 2, which is really not great. So turn 1 demons. I take my Soul Grinder straight into his Skinks. I was hoping they would fail their leadership test because of terror, so I could go into the other Skinks, but I was unsuccessful. I also flew my Lord of Change over to the side. Next here is just a shot. I think he ends up doing 2 wounds to the Soul Grinder just through all his poison attacks. But during the combat phase, I end up breaking the Skink group, or the Chameleon Skinks, and I couldn't quite pursue him off the edge of the board, but he's going to run off in the next turn. Also, during my magic phase, I rolled up pretty well. I think I got a 9, which didn't end up doing anything on the Reign of Chaos table, but I did end up getting off Infernal Gateway, and I killed one of his salamanders. Additionally, I also charged his other salamander with my Chaos Furies, but he decided to flee and they couldn't make it. So turn 2 Lizardmen. He takes his Cold One bus into my Rot Flies, and then he also moves his Skinks behind my Fleshhounds of Khorne. He ended up taking 2 more wounds off of my 2 wounds off my Beast of Nurgle. Not exactly sure how that happened. I think maybe I don't really remember how that happened. He might have used some magic or something. I think maybe his Bastillodon got shots off. Here's a shot of the Furies. They're kind of scooched up a little bit because they failed their charge against the fleeing salamander. So this is just a shot of after his movement phase. He gets into the Rot Flies, and during combat, they surprisingly do much better than I would expect. They end up only taking 1 or 2 wounds, and they roll pretty well for instability, so they stick. Now in my turn, I take my Plague Bearers straight into the flank of his Cold Ones. I was a little concerned because their flank is totally exposed to all these Saurus warriors, but I was able to place my Furies really well, so no matter what he does, he's going to have to charge into the Furies, and for him to get into my Plague Bearers, his unit of Saurus is going to have to roll, I think, at least a 9 on Overrun, so I kind of made myself somewhat safe. Over here you can see the Soul Grinder was able to move up because the Skink he was chasing fled off the board. So because he's a single model, he has pretty good movement. He moved up around and is able to get in some positioning for charges later. And my Lord of Change just moved up in the back to hopefully cast some spells. My Pink Horrors of Zinj come up and get into combat with his Chameleon Skinks. I also forgot to mention my Skull Cannon had taken shots at the Bastillodon last turn and does it again this turn, but both times it rolled an 8 for its bounce distance, and because of that, I went too far and didn't hit the Bastillodon. This is just a shot of the placement of my Furies. They're facing in such a way that it just becomes really hard for him to get into the Plague Bearer unit. If this group of Soros go in, they will miss it, and the second group, if they go into the Furies, they're going to have to roll a 9 or maybe even a 10 on the overrun. Just a quick plug, Chaos Furies are really great additions to any Demon's army. Even though they're unmarked and they're only leadership 2, they just are great roadblocks with fly and everything. I think I tried to get off some magic shots. I might have tried to Infernal Gateway, his Bastillodon or something, and I don't think it went off. This is a picture of Shem's Burning Gaze, which is a spell that my opponent had, but I used Glean Magic, which was the spell that allows you to steal spells from other wizards if you beat them on a roll plus your wizard level. So I was able to get his slot and steal a spell from him, which is really cool. And this is just a shot of where the hounds are and everyone is at the end of the turn. Unfortunately, I kept trying to charge the Bastillodon and I wasn't making it with the hounds. They ended up taking some shooting from these guys back here, the normal javelin skinks. So this is turn 3 Lizardmen. I was able to destroy his skinks in my last turn. I don't really know why he held. That probably wasn't a good idea. At the end of combat with the Plague Bearers last turn, not much had happened. I took a couple more wounds on my Plague Drones, and I wasn't able to do any wounds to his big block. He did do 1 wound to my Herald, and my Soul Grinder got down to 2 wounds, which was a little worrying. During his turn, he doesn't really have a choice. He really needs to take out these Plague Bearers to help his Cold One block. But he brings his Saurus into my Chaos Furies, and he does destroy them in combat and overruns, but he only gets like a 6 or a 7, so he was, I think, an inch or 2 short, and he couldn't get into the Plague Bearers to help out. And then with his other block of Saurus, he was really in a tight spot. He didn't know what to do with them at all, so he ends up reforming them, and they're just totally out of the way and out of position. He ends up taking some shots at my Flesh Hounds, and I think he kills one of them maybe. And this is turn 3 Demons. So after combat in the last turn, I had killed basically. Oh no, sorry. This is I'd killed a couple of the cold ones, but not much had happened. This is a shot of after combat in my turn 3 for Demons. So I took the Skull Cannon in, and with impact hits, I was able to really deal a lot of damage to this Cold One unit and wear him down quite a bit. I got 1 wound on one of his Cold One Knights, or Cold One Riders, sorry, and my Soul Grinder was able to go into one of the skink units, totally just break it, run it down, and then it wasn't able to overrun close enough to get into the Slan unit, but he's right there for the next turn. He's down to 1 wound, and the Lord of Change has 4 wounds left. I think he took a poison shot or something like that. And at this point, this is after combat, I was able to mostly get rid of this unit thanks to the Skull Cannon and the Rotfly and everything. This is a shot of after combat. He actually broke, and because one of his cold ones was a BSB, it died when it fled. And then his second one had 1 wound left, and it was running away. The Rotfly tried to pursue, but was unable to, and the Plague Bearers just reform, the Skull Cannon reforms. During this magic phase, in this turn 3 Demons, I don't think much happened. I think virtually every every turn I throw 6 dice at Infernal Gateway or somewhere around there, so I think I was able to kill his other Salamander at this point. And I also was able to charge and get the Beast of Nurgle into the Bastillodon, and I moved up my Fleshhounds so that they'll be able to charge in pretty soon as well. This is a shot of after combat. I reformed to maximize my attacks. I don't think I was able to do any attacks to the Bastillodon. I rolled up a lot of attacks with the Beast of Nurgle, but they just they totally whiffed. Turn 4, Lizardmen. He moves his Slann out of the group of Skinks because he knows the Soul Grinder is right there coming for him. He also moves his Priest out of there as well. His Priest uses Dispel Scroll maybe a turn or two ago on one of the Infernal Gateways. I think on the one on the Bastillodon. And he's pretty much just waiting. He charges in to my Plague Bearers, and he gets off a buff spell on the Saurus. I think it's their weapon skill is 10 or something like that. He'd been getting off a bunch of those spells on the Cold One bust, which is why they lasted so long. He got off like weapon skill 10, which made it really difficult to hit. So he gets off another one here. By this point, I dispelled at least one spell with my Lord of Change and rolled a 5, so he's at +1 strength and +1 attack at this point. And after combat, not much really happens. I've got a BSB, and we both have so many ranks, and we're both hitting on. He's hitting on 5s because I'm Nurgle, which is -1 to your hit in close combat. I'm hitting on 4s, and we're kind of tied, so we're just grinding down. Now this is turn 4 Demons. This is where the game really changes completely and goes in my favor. I took a charge with my Soul Grinder into his Skinks. He wasn't able to get any poisons off or anything, and he's just having a tough time because the Soul Grinder's down to 1 wound and he just can't kill it. But the Soul Grinder goes in and goes into the side of the Saurus Warriors after he runs through my opponent's Skinks. My Skull Cannon charges into his level 2 Priest. I don't know why he didn't flee. I think he thought he was redirecting or something, but I was just going to go into the Saurus block anyways, so that was a really big mistake of his. It's just free points for me, basically, getting rid of your casters. And then I took my Lord of Change into his Slann. So basically, this is the end of combat. I kill the priest, no problem, and I go into the side of these. I go into the side of the Saurus, and then my Lord of Change ended up taking 2 wounds. What happened was his Slann had the egg of something or other, and it ended up doing. It's you roll d6, and then based on the roll you get, certain things happen. So I think he got like 2d6 strength 5 hits or something. So he got a bunch of hits on my Lord of Change. Was able to take off 2 wounds, but the Lord of Change with +1 strength and +1 attack was just. It was pretty easy to kill the Slann, so I took him out, which I felt really good about. Got rid of his general and all of his casting. So, this is just another shot after. I think this is a turn or 2 later. This is kind of near the end of the game. What happened was he took his remaining Cold One Rider, sorry, and kind of brought it up close to my Lord of Change, and I was able to charge with the Lord of Change and kill him as well. And I ended up destroying the Bastillodon, no problem. And basically all of these fights are going in my favor. We ended up playing out the game entirely until I tabled him. I think it ended up being like, 8 turns or 9 turns or something because his combats wore down, but I had no problem taking him off the board. I ended up losing the Soul Grinder and some of the Fleshhounds, but in the end, the Lord of Change was able to survive. So I got about 600 points from the Lord of Change. I ended up losing my Herald of Nurgle, and the entire Nurgling group, but I had both groups of my my Pincors of Tzeentch left. So I had all the points from them. I had all the points from my Lord of Change. My beasts were still alive, and I definitely won the game. So some closing thoughts. Um, he used Lore of Light, which really didn't help him very much. It had some buff spells or augments, giving him increased weapon skill and things like that. But in the end, I think I just played a little bit better than he did. I had a really good magic phases thanks to Infernal Gateway and everything, and I was able to really just destroy most of the things that were his answers to my Soul Grinder, my Lord of Change. I got rid of his Salamanders really quick, which made it tough so that he couldn't take out the regeneration on the Nurgle units. Also, shout out to the Plague Drones of Nurgle. I'd never played with them before, and they actually did a really good job of holding up his Cold One bus with -1 to hit and toughness 5. They just stay around for a while, which is great.